friends, welcome back to my channel, Planty Princess 92. My name is Ashley, and today we are going to be doing my 2021 wish list. So happy new year. I hope you guys had a decent 2020. I know it was a little bit rough, but even more importantly, I hope this year is a better year for all of us. So I normally would have posted my plant wish list on Sunday, but I figured I'd take the beginning of the year off because I just started kickboxing, so I've been a little bit busy. But without any further ado, let's just jump right into this video. I will resume posting every Sunday and Thursday, and let's just get started. So I have 14 wish list plants, and a good handful of these plants I know will not be obtainable within this year. They are more of those extreme rarity plants that really cost a good chunk of change. So a handful of these plants are more like a lifetime wish list plant. Like, I hope at some time in my lifetime I'm able to obtain a cutting or a piece of one of these or some of these plants. But there are a few that I will be able to obtain this year, so I am definitely excited to get some new plants come spring. I'm going to do this in sections by the genus of plant. So the first genus of plant that I'm going to be sharing with you guys for my wish list is going to be Hoyas. So this is really in no particular order, but this happens to be the Hoya that I do want the most on this wish list, and that is the Hoya Kenejiana Variegata. This Hoya is just extremely gorgeous. It has ripply leaves that kind of just sway and come to a point, and then has that inner variegation that really just looks extremely beautiful. And if you think it looks beautiful plain as it is right here, you will drop dead when you see this plant sun stress. It is the most gorgeous pink through those ruffled, flowy leaves. I just love the way this Hoya looks, and this is definitely one that I cannot wait to get my hands on and have in my collection. We'll move on to the Hoya Rangsan. This is another one that I really can't wait to have. I'm really getting into the silvery Hoyas. I have the Hoya AH074. That time I got the name right. I normally call it the 021 or 24, something like that. But anyways, I'm really loving the way that Hoya is growing and how the silver is looking. So the Rangsan has a lot of that silver in it, but it's more speckledy and kind of just like dashes through the leaf. And I love the way that looks. It's really just a stunningly Hoya. And the leaves look a little thicker, and they look to be a little more on the larger side, like more to a medium size rather than smaller. So I am excited to also obtain this Hoya and see how beautiful this one looks in person. We'll move on to, this is so hard because I want to say my second favorite Hoya that I want in my collection, but then I just looked at the last Hoya that I want, and I can't even rank any of these because I just want them all so very badly. So we'll go with the Hoya Gunung Gading. This Hoya is like a cartoon character. It is like the venations on this Hoya look as if somebody just drew them on with like a fine tip Sharpie. It looks so gorgeous. They're so bold and defined. And yet another one that gets extremely gorgeous when it is sun stressed. It gets really bright red. It looks like the sun just kissed it. So beautiful. Last but not least, the Hoya Macrophylla Pot of Gold. I wanted this Hoya pretty much all of last year, but I ended up getting some more expensive plants last year. Like, I spent a little more on plants last year than I wanted to spend, so that kind of prevented me from getting more plants. I basically got quality over quantity because, I spent more on the plants that I got, so I got less plants than if I would have gotten less expensive plants. So this was one that I wanted all of last year that I hadn't got the chance to get. So this will definitely be one that is a little more affordable or in my price range that I will definitely be able to obtain this year. And I really love how this one is like the regular Macrophylla albomarginata is variegated on the outside and also gets those streaks of like pink going around the edges, while this one is opposite and it's kind of like variegated on the inside, which also gets that sort of pink color going through the middle, the belly of the leaf, with a lot of bright indirect light, and it just looks super gorgeous. So that finishes up my Hoyas. We'll move on. I have one Ficus that I really, really want to get. I saw this on a fellow Instagrammer's page that I talk with, a planty Instagrammer. And as soon as he showed me this plant, I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. I immediately got on Google and started searching up images of this plant. And I have no doubt that most of you will do the same. So this is the Ficus Elastica Shiveriana. This plant is so gorgeous. I love the structure of Ficus elasticas anyways. I love the way they build up. They're really straight. They can branch off. Their leaves can get pretty large. They're thick. They're glossy, and they're just beautiful. It's just a beautiful plant all around. But this plant has like speckled variegation. It's kind of like freckles on the leaf, but can also get a little bit of that bigger patches. And the leaves, when they're new, they do come in a little pink. That does kind of fade away, but it just looks so gorgeous. I really love this Ficus plant. And this one, I haven't come to seen it for sale since I've saw it and wanted it on my wish list. So I'm not sure what this plant cost, but as far as the availability of it goes, it might be a hard one for me to get my hands on. So that one is definitely a fingers crossed. I hope sometime in my lifetime I come across it because it is just so gorgeous. Next, we'll move on to Monsteras. I have one Monstera. And if you've watched my channel before, I'm sure you know what this Monstera is. This is the Variegated Monstera Adansonii Archipelago. This one is so gorgeous. I have two Variegated Monstera Adansonii mints, but it's just not the Archipelagos. It's just so gorgeous. It has those big chunks of white variegation, cream variegation, light green variegation, and then that dark green. It is just so gorgeous. I love the way the colors just like melt together. It is just like heaven on a leaf. So that is the Monstera that I want. That is one that I may not get this year because it is a little more pricey, but it's not so pricey that it's not in my reach. Like, eventually I will save up and be able to get that plant, but it will be maybe a year or two till then, I'm sure. Unless I win the lottery, that I will probably get a plant on this list that is a little more expensive than that. So moving on, we will go to one that is more readily available, more inexpensive, more popular, more common. I only have one Begonia in my collection. I started off with two. I got them at the same time. One of them died, but one of them survived. I kind of got the care tips down thanks to Caleb, another YouTuber here on YouTube. He kind of gave me some tips, and I've been able to save it, and it's growing really nicely. So I'm looking forward to kind of expand my Begonia collection because the leaves of begonias are just so colorful. They're so beautiful, and then not to mention their flowers also look pretty as well, even though they're more of like a leaf showstopper plant. Anyways, it is the Angel Wing Begonia Benigo Pink. I love pink. Pink is my favorite color, and I really love pink plants. So this one kind of just has like speckly spots of pink dots going through its whole leaf, and then not to mention that angel wing shape of the leaf is just stunning. And then underneath, lying under those pink polka dots, is a really deep dark green. And the color contrast with the pink and the dark green, it just looks amazing. So I'm really looking forward to getting one of those in spring. This will probably be the first unboxing that I do come time to order plants. So get ready to see the Angel Wing Begonia Benigo Pink because I am super excited to check it out. Next on my list, we will go with Aglaonemas. I have two Aglaonemas that I really would like to get. The first one is the Aglaonema Lotus Delight. If you've ever seen an Aglaonema as gorgeous as this one, please let me know. This Aglaonema is like, it's like Barbie made a plant. So it is just like outlined in a bright, beautiful pink. And then in the middle is like kind of like a darker green sort of on the inside of the pink, and then you get like a real bright lime green splashing out, and then the venations are pink through it, and the stems are really light pink. It is just extremely beautiful. This plant is just so vibrant and eye-catching. Now this plant, it does run crazy. Like, plant prices are really getting so crazy right now. And it's really unfortunate because people that make more money than others shouldn't be the only people that are able to get their hands on some of these plants. Plants, I feel, should be for everybody, and everybody should be fortunate enough and have the chance to have the plants that they like and admire most. But unfortunately, that's not the way life works. So this plant is a little bit more on the higher end spectrum, but not as crazy as plants are getting. This plant runs anywhere from $2 to $350. That is a lot for a plant, but like I said, it's not in the thousands, it's in the lower hundreds, and unfortunately, that's the way these plants are running nowadays. But anyways, back to the plant itself, it really just is gorgeous. This is one that I may obtain this year. I have a couple on my list that are in the hundreds, and I plan to kind of cut my budget, especially with COVID, everybody being out of work and stuff like that. I'm not going to go crazy this year on plants. So I'm going to pick 1 or 2 more expensive plants on my wish list and get those. The rest will just be the more affordable house plants this year. So like I said, a handful of these are definitely like a lifetime wish list, but they're all very beautiful plants. So moving on to the next Aglaonema is the Aglaonema Modestum Variegatum. This is another very beautiful variegated plant. It kind of has that white, dark green, maybe like a greenish silver sort of cream color variegation in it. It is extremely gorgeous. The variegation kind of comes in like patches along the leaves, and the leaves are kind of like more narrow. So the Aglaonema Lotus Delight kind of grows more compact, and the Modestum Variegatum kind of grows more tall, sort of like the Pictum tricolor does. So the leaves are a little more elongated, and it just looks so stunning. It's just a very beautiful variegated plant. That is one that is not too crazily priced, but definitely gets to the good hundreds, lower hundreds. So we'll see which plant I pick to get. But that is definitely one on my wish list that at some point I would love to have in my collection. Last but not least, we have Philodendrons. Probably one of the most common genuses out there. So we will start off with the Philodendron White Knight. I really love, again, the variegation on this plant. It's another one with that white variegation. And what I really love most about this plant, now this plant easily gets confused with the White Wizard and then the White Princess. Now the White Princess is a self-heading philodendron, so it's not a climber, unlike the White Wizard and the White Knight. So that is the biggest way to tell you have the White Princess. Now to differentiate the White Knight and the White Wizard, the White Knight, the one on my wish list, has a deep burgundy stem with white variegation on the stems. So that's how you know that you have a White Knight. I love that burgundy stem with that white variegation running up through it. It just really looks so beautiful. And not to mention how big and beautiful those variegated leaves get. It's really just a gorgeous plant. This is another one that's more affordable, but still is a little crazily priced. But I think it is definitely worth it because it really is a beautiful plant. And I'm going to say this with every plant. I'm so excited just to get new plants this year because I have not gotten a plant. I'm lying. My boyfriend bought me a plant for New Year's from the store. It was just something little, but it was so cute, so beautiful. I really loved it. But other than that, I have not ordered any plants or picked any plants out myself. So I'm like going crazy, and I cannot wait for spring to come to buy a plant. Next, we have the Philodendron Florida Beauty Variegata. This plant is so unique with the way the leaves are shaped. It is just like, I don't know, it's just a crazily shaped plant. Like, the leaves kind of split off a couple different spots and then gets real skinny and then round sort of at the bottom, and it is just so gorgeous. And then with the variegation on top of it, it's really a gorgeous plant. This one is kind of crazily expensive, so this will be one of the ones that I have to choose from this year. So this is going to be a hard decision to make. So at the end of this video, if anybody has any suggestions of which of the more expensive plants I should get this year, please leave in the comments down below to help me decide what you would like to see me unbox this year. Moving on, we have one of my favorite yet, the variegated Philodendron Billietiae. This plant is just like, it's just like poof. It is so beautiful. The elongated leaves with the creamy and green white variegation. I love, love, love the way those orange stems pop out. It just makes the whole plant, it really does. This is another gorgeous plant, and I would love to have even just the littlest leaf sitting somewhere on a shelf in my home. It would pop out and bring character to the room all by itself. So beautiful. We have two more left. So we have the Philodendron Domesticum. This is also one that I've been wanting pretty much all of last year, but I hadn't got the chance to get it. It's not one that I often see for sale, and when I do, it's either such a little piece of plant for a ridiculous price, or it doesn't look so nice. So this is one that I may have to wait. It's one of those ones where you're just gonna have to wait. When you find the perfect one, you'll know it and you'll get it. But this one is just super beautiful. It has thinner leaves when they're more immature, but the variegation is just as beautiful as when the leaves get really bigger. And when the leaves do get more mature, they're so large. They're so shaped really nicely with kind of like a slight rippled edge to them, and they're just extremely gorgeous. This is a climbing philodendron, so imagine seeing those big, beautiful variegated leaves climbing up a moss pole would just be amazing. Last but not least, up there with the Begonia and the Florida Beauty, this is probably even more expensive than those. No, not probably, it definitely is, even depending on what size of the plant you get, is the Philodendron Caramel Marble. Now, I've seen it called the Philodendron Caramel Marble, and then I saw one named the Philodendron Caramel Marble Pink. I would definitely, if they are two separate plants, I would definitely prefer the pink one because I just love pink plants. It's my favorite. They're so gorgeous. I'm not sure if the pink comes out just in the caramel marble with the more sun it gets. You know how like the strawberry shake and some of those other plants, even in the Hoyas, the cream color gets pink with the more light it gets. So I'm not sure if it's, you know, that type of situation or if it's a totally separate plant. Either way, the caramel marble is stunning. It has leaves shaped like the Ring of Fire, but they're wider, and they get bigger, so they're longer. But this plant is just so gorgeous. The variegation is literally just like splashed on there throughout the whole leaf. It could come in big patches. It is so stunning. This is one of my favorite philodendrons. But again, this is going to be one that's more of like a lifetime wish list plant because of the price. This does get into the thousands, especially based on how big the plant is. So at some time when I do win the lottery, I will have this plant. Maybe when I turn 50, all of my family will chip in. All of my family will chip in when I'm 50 to get me this plant, but we'll see. So that is my 2021 wish list for this year, for my lifetime, and I'm super excited to share it with you guys, to show you guys some of the plants I get off of this wish list this year. Thank you guys again for joining me in another video. I hope you enjoyed some of the plants you saw here with me today. I hope I didn't make your wish list too big, but hey, we all love plants. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in the content I provide. And as always, every plant's a princess. Bye!